2. The second question, while also seemingly simple, digs even deeper into your emotional and psychological fabric. What are you running from? This question is not just about physical escape, but about the internal struggles and fears that you avoid at all costs. We all have parts of ourselves that we'd rather not confront. They may be painful memories, unresolved traumas, or unmet needs that we push down into the subconscious because dealing with them seems overwhelming. But the truth is, the more we run from these things, the more power they hold over us. We live our lives, often unconsciously, in avoidance of these uncomfortable truths. Yet when we stop running and finally face what we've been hiding from, we unlock a profound healing process. By acknowledging our fears, we begin to take away their power, transforming them from sources of pain into opportunities for growth. 1. There are moments in life when you encounter questions that make you stop and reflect, not just about your decisions, but about the very essence of who you are. These questions are like keys to doors that you've kept locked for years, doors that lead into the deepest recesses of your own psyche. Today, we're going to explore 3 such questions. Questions that, when answered honestly, have the power to shift your perspective in ways you've never imagined. The first question is deceptively simple, yet its impact is profound. Who are you when no one is watching? 53. The third question is perhaps the most challenging, but it is the one that can truly revolutionize the way you see the world and yourself. What do you truly desire? This isn't about surface level wants or material possessions. It's about the deep soul-stirring desires that live within you. The things you yearn for but are too afraid to pursue. The dreams that seem too distant or impossible to reach. Often we avoid these desires because they feel unattainable or because we don't believe we deserve them. But the truth is, these desires are the roadmap to your most authentic self. They represent your passions, your purpose, and the life you are meant to lead. When you allow yourself to truly desire without fear of judgment or failure, you step into a new realm of possibility. You begin to understand that your desires are not just wishes, they are messages from your deeper self, guiding you toward the life that will bring you fulfillment. 4. Each of these questions challenges us to move beyond the surface, to look beyond our everyday lives and confront the deeper, often hidden aspects of our being. They are invitations to explore the parts of ourselves that we've kept locked away, not out of malice or intentional concealment, but out of fear, shame, or simply because we've never been taught how to look within. But here's the thing, these parts of ourselves are not to be feared. They are to be embraced, understood, and integrated into our larger sense of identity. Only when we truly know ourselves, beyond the masks, beyond the fears, and beyond the desires, can we begin to live a life of true fulfillment, peace, and authenticity. 5. It's important to realize that answering these questions isn't a one-time event, it's an ongoing process. Every day we encounter new situations, new experiences, and new people who challenge us to go deeper into understanding ourselves. The answers we give today may change tomorrow, and that's okay. Self-discovery is not a destination, it's a journey. But as we continue on that journey, we begin to see ourselves more clearly, more fully, and more authentically. The questions may not always be easy to answer, but they are essential for living a life that is aligned with our true self. They offer us the chance to break free from the constraints of societal expectations and the roles we've been conditioned to play, and instead step into the fullness of who we are meant to be. 7.7, there is a certain freedom that comes from confronting these questions, one that we often overlook in our pursuit of success, material gain, or external validation. When we challenge ourselves to ask, who am I when no one is watching, we allow ourselves to shed the expectations of others and reconnect with the purest form of our being. It's a form of liberation that many never experience because they are too afraid to face the rawness of their truth. And yet, that rawness is where growth occurs. It is in the messiness of our vulnerabilities, in the moments when we let our guard down, that we uncover who we truly are. This, in turn, enables us to build a life that is deeply aligned with our inner values and aspirations, rather than the superficial desires imposed upon us by society. 10. What's fascinating about these questions is that they often reveal things we already know on some level, but haven't fully acknowledged. The hidden parts of ourselves are not as foreign as we may think. Instead, they are the parts that we've pushed aside or ignored, waiting patiently for us to look within. When we finally take the time to listen to them, we often realize that the answers were inside us all along. The discomfort that comes with these realizations is not a sign of failure, but a signal that we are stepping into new territory. Territory where growth, transformation, and self-actualization reside. It's only through this willingness to face the uncomfortable that we can make room for new possibilities and experiences that will enrich our lives. 6. The impact of this process of self-inquiry cannot be overstated. When we begin to truly know ourselves, when we are no longer hiding from our own truths, something remarkable happens. We become empowered. We stop living in reaction to external forces, and instead, we start to create from a place of inner strength and clarity. We begin to act with intention, not out of fear, but from a place of knowing exactly what we want and what we need to feel fulfilled. We move through the world with a sense of confidence and ease because we are no longer at war with ourselves. We no longer need to seek validation from others because we have already validated ourselves. It is easy to live life on autopilot, going through the motions without ever questioning why we do what we do. Most people live according to external expectations, never considering whether their actions align with their inner truths. But the 3 questions we are exploring today offer a chance to break free from that autopilot existence and move into a life that is fully conscious and intentional. When we are clear about who we are, what we fear, and what we truly desire, we can begin to live in a way that reflects our authentic selves. We no longer have to ask for permission from the world to live the life we want. We take ownership of our journey and act from a place of clarity and confidence. 12. Many of us are trained from an early age to conform, to meet expectations, and to behave in ways that are deemed acceptable by those around us. We often internalize these expectations to such an extent that we lose sight of our own needs, desires, and truths. But what happens when we begin to ask ourselves these eye-opening questions? We break free from the chains of societal conditioning and discover the power of self-awareness. We learn to trust our own intuition, to follow our instincts, and to honor our unique journey. This is where real fulfillment lies. When we stop living for others and start living for ourselves, according to the truth of who we are. 9. The third question, what do you truly desire, is the one that demands the most courage. This is the question that, if answered honestly, reveals the dreams and ambitions that have been stifled or suppressed for far too long. It is easy to dismiss our desires as unrealistic or unattainable, especially when we measure them against the standards of others. But deep down, those desires are part of our unique blueprint, the map that guides us toward a life that resonates with who we are at our core. When we silence the voices of doubt and fear, we can begin to acknowledge these desires without judgment. Only then can we begin to bring them into reality, taking the steps, big and small. 12. Many of us are trained from an early age to conform, to meet expectations, and to behave in ways that are deemed acceptable by those around us. We often internalize these expectations to such an extent that we lose sight of our own needs, desires, and truths. But what happens when we begin to ask ourselves these eye-opening questions? We break free from the chains of societal conditioning and discover the power of self-awareness. We learn to trust our own intuition, to follow our instincts, and to honor our unique journey. This is where real fulfillment lies. When we stop living for others and start living for ourselves, according to the truth of who we are. When you peel back the layers of your outward identity, the roles you play in society, the expectations placed upon you, and you strip away the mask, what is left? This question forces you to look inward, to face the quiet, unspoken parts of yourself that rarely come to the surface. It pushes you to confront your true essence, the person you are at your core, when all external pressures and judgments fade into the background. For many, this is a terrifying exercise, one that reveals vulnerabilities and insecurities that have been hidden for years. But it also holds the key to a deeper understanding of yourself, a more authentic version of who you are, unburdened by the need for validation or approval. When you peel back the layers of your outward identity, the roles you play in society, the expectations placed upon you, and you strip away the mask, what is left? This question forces you to look inward, to face the quiet, unspoken parts of yourself that rarely come to the surface. It pushes you to confront your true essence, the person you are at your core, when all external pressures and judgments fade into the background. For many, this is a terrifying exercise, one that reveals vulnerabilities and insecurities that have been hidden for years. But it also holds the key to a deeper understanding of yourself, a more authentic version of who you are, unburdened by the need for validation or approval.